I'm done talking about codependency. Codependency is a buzz term that's been around in pop psychology for a long time. I mean, I remember hearing the term back in the 80s and the 90s. We've all heard the term codependent. I'm done talking about it. It's not a helpful term. In this video, I'm going to explain what's a better term, what's a way of understanding what's happening in your relationships that actually offers you an empowered exit to freedom, to liberty, to vitality. Let's get into it. I'm Dr. Don Russell, the Russell Healing Institute. We have a signature program called Detox Your Marriage. Check out the link below, find out a lot more information. Okay, you know the story. You lose yourself in relationships. You try to fix, you try to rescue, you try to manage other people's feelings. You say yes when you mean to say no, and you feel responsible for everyone's happiness. When they're happy, you're happy. When they're sad, you're sad. When they're angry, you're afraid. So the traditional, right, the codependent pop literature says the solution is to set better boundaries, stop caretaking, focus on your own needs. And sure, yeah, that's part of the work. But here's the problem with that approach. It still makes the other person the reference point, right? You're still orbiting around them like the Earth orbits around the sun. You know, you've maybe got some firmer boundaries, but you're probably feeling more rigid, actually less free, less liberated. Replace struggling with codependency with the freedom of emotional sovereignty. Emotional sovereignty is the practice of reclaiming authorship over your inner world. It's the understanding that no one else owns your nervous system. No one else defines your worth. No one else has custody of your peace or your emotional landscape. No one else but you. So instead of being reactive to what others do or don't do, sovereignty teaches us to anchor in our own emotional center. So it's more than just saying no, or it's not journaling your needs. It's about feeling your own feelings without outsourcing their meaning or their interpretation. It's trusting your gut without needing consensus. It's allowing others to have their experience without rushing in to manage it or shut it down. So this shift moves us from kind of co-regulation and that addiction and that codependency to self-leadership. So to understand emotional sovereignty, think of national sovereignty. The country that you're in is a sovereign nation, and it doesn't have to explain itself to other nations. It doesn't have to depend on other nations for its well-being. And it has border control, right? So the nation itself gets to decide and determine what it allows in. And that is national sovereignty. And so same thing, emotional sovereignty is I get to decide what emotions I allow in to permeate me. So let's get a little deeper. Many people with what we used to call codependent patterns, they come from backgrounds where emotional enmeshment was the norm. Maybe it wasn't safe to have your own needs. Maybe you had a parent that you felt you needed to parent. And maybe silence, compliance, or hypervigilance were really, really necessary survival tools. And in that context, emotions weren't your own emotions. They were you managing other people's emotions. And so you ended up being trained in that environment, either explicitly or implicitly, to scan the horizon, scan the environment, to read the room of everybody else's needs. And you were trained to not pay attention to your needs, trained to not pay attention to your own authentic emotions, and so you became a master of emotional weather forecasting. And your own intuition got muted, your own internal compass got muted. You just lost the skill of paying attention to you and paying attention to what you want. So emotional sovereignty is the slow and frankly sacred work of returning to that internal compass, recovering that intuition. It starts with asking myself. What we do in our work with women that are on this journey is we ask them actually to literally put your hands on your heart and ask, hey, my heart, what do I feel? My heart, what do I want? My heart, what pace does my nervous system need? This is work that actually shifts the internal scaffolding of what we used to call codependency. Right? So it's not just focusing on behaviors, do this, don't do this, but it's actually changing the dynamic in your own heart and soul. So let's get practical. How do you do this? Again, it's not recovering from something bad, it's building something good inside. So it starts with body awareness practices, because the things that happened to create the codependency in you happened in your body, not between the ears. It happened in your body. That's where trauma lives. We understand that now in the last 10 to 15 years of trauma research and trauma recovery. You have to identify that the change is going to happen in the body and from the body up. So it starts with grounding. It starts with breath work. It starts with what we call interoception. Basically, perception is perceiving around you, while interoception is perceiving inside. Paying attention to the body, because that's where true signals live. That's one. Practice, number two, practice internal consent. Right? When you go and when you take your car to get serviced, okay? Like, think about it this way. When you take your car to get serviced, the service manager will write up an estimate. Hey, we're going to change the oil and do something else. Sign here as this is you giving consent for them to do that work, right? It's a consent document, and then they have consent to go and do the work on your car. Well, practice internal consent. Before every decision, before every yes, ask yourself, do I have full consent from myself to say yes to what my friend or my spouse is asking of me? You're signing a consent document within yourself. Number three, name and normalize your own experience. And so when you find yourself triggered, when you find yourself activated, say to yourself, this is what fear feels like in my body. Right now, I'm noticing that I'm having fear. Or I'm noticing that old response, that old urge, that old impulse to caretake, to fix. But I choose stillness. I choose to witness. I choose to observe, but not enmesh. And then it's detaching with compassion, not gray rock, not punishment, but with compassion. Because emotional sovereignty does not mean cold detachment. It means warm boundaries that come from knowing your center. You don't have to guard your center with a 12-foot high cement wall with barbed wire on top. Just warm boundaries. I know my center. I know this is my sovereign territory of me. And I choose what comes in. I choose what I give out. All right. So here's the most powerful part is a new identity. When we commit to emotional sovereignty, like I'm describing, we stop identifying as codependent people, going to codependence anonymous groups until the end of time. And we begin embodying an emotionally mature adult. The label stops being your identity and becomes just, something that happened, something that I emerged from. It's a season that I walked through. And so you begin to relate, you begin to choose and respond from a deeper place of wholeness, from intactness, not from fear, obligation, or shame. And the magic is when you stop outsourcing your emotional safety. I'm okay because my spouse is okay, right? That's building a house on sinking sand. When you stop outsourcing your emotional safety, you become unshakable. You become a house built on solid rock. Not because others change, you're not dependent on them changing, but because you've changed where you locate your power, where you locate your anchor. So as you move through your day, ask yourself, where am I still giving my emotional power away? And what would it look like to come home to myself fully? This is the work. It's life-giving, it's sacred, and it is so liberating. I encourage you, if this resonates with you, leave a comment below. Let me know how it lands on you. If you want to know more, join our Detox Your Marriage School community. The link is down below. It's free. This is just a group of like-minded women that have decided that they want to flourish in their relationship. Also, if this is resonating with you, we invite you to watch a whole video, a longer video that explains that it is possible to detox your relationship, to detox your marriage, and to flourish in your marriage if you want to. And we work with women that, for religious reasons, for kids' reasons, in some cases financial reasons, you know what, I want to stay, but I need help. I need a guide on how to stay. If this resonates, definitely click the subscribe button so that you are one of the first to hear when another video like this comes out. All right? So see you in the SKOOL community. See you on the Detox Your Marriage webinar. And live well. All right?